I just saw Black Widow, finally. We finally got there. We finally got to a release. It's not terrible. To me, it didn't really feel like part of the official MCU. Although it's the first film of Phase 4. Have I got that right? That's what it says. That's what it says on Tinternet. The thing is, it's supposed to take. I think it takes place like after Civil War, because there's talk of some of the Avengers. There's talk of the Avengers splitting up, and then there's talk of some of the Avengers being held in the oil rig, the oil rig prison in the middle of the ocean. So I think that's where it's supposed to take place, after the Civil War thing. But so therefore it is supposed to be a part of. Well, it is a part of the MCU, but it felt more like a spin-off, like Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki. Let's just get to the obvious. Let's get the pluses. Let's just do pluses and minuses. As I say, it's kind of late. I'm tired. It's bloody hot where I am right now, so it's not really comfortable. So let me just do some pluses and minuses here. Pluses: the fight sequences. Fight sequences, pretty damn good, actually. I think this is some of the best Black Widow fighting sequences that we've seen, if not. Would I go as far as saying the best out of everything that we've seen so far from Black Widow? Possibly. The fight sequences that we see, although there is some CG thrown in here and there, it's not. I don't think it's mostly that. I think most of it is proper choreographed fight sequences with the actors and stunt people. Either way, it's pretty damn impressive. It looks very good. It's very fast. It's very. It's impressive. Very impressive. Particularly the fight sequences towards the first third and the last third of the film. The middle bit, well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Another plus: the acting. Acting from Johansson, as always, is pretty good. She's pretty good. As I say, she's quipping a lot more. She's making a few more, jokes. She's showing a bit more attitude in this film than we've seen before, because this is to do with a personal vendetta that she has towards the bad guy here. So that's a very interesting thing about seeing her in this film, is the fact that we finally get to see a bit of a personal conflict going on, as opposed to what she normally goes through with the Avengers. Rachel Weisz. Haven't seen her for a while. I don't think I remember the last time I saw her in something recent. I think I think About a Boy was the last time that I saw her, really. I'm sure I know she's been in other things since then, but not that I've seen. So yeah, it's good to see her again. She's great in this. I think she's a different kind of role that we're used to seeing her in, but she does it well. Again, there's a lot of good acting from her, emotion, family ties and everything. Bit of a twisty bit towards the end regarding her, but I won't give that away. The girl who plays the sister, I've forgotten the actress's name, and I've forgotten the character's name as well, even though it's been like half an hour since I watched the film. But she was good. Basically a similar character, because she's a widow as well. You see, it's to do with how the Black Widows are made and created, and the Red Room and all this stuff. So the sister is a widow as well. So there's similar, the fighting style is similar, and same sort of attitude. But the acting from her is pretty good, pretty solid acting all around, really. Let's get to David Harbour. He's basically playing Mr. Incredible in this. That's the only character that I was seeing regarding David Harbour. I was just thinking, this is Mr. Incredible. It's the same kind of thing. He's a former superhero. What was it? Is it the red? I want to say the Red Guardian. Have I got that right? The Red Guardian, the Red Hero, the Red Savior, something like that. But he's basically Mr. Incredible. That's who he is in this film. He's a former superhero who has since put on weight, and he's a bit out of well, not a bit. He's very out of shape, and he's basically trying to become who he was again. And he's trying to fit into the suit. I like David Harbour. I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things, and he's great in that. I didn't like Hellboy. No, I don't think anyone did. But I think he's just being obviously he's just there for the comic relief. Most of the comedy, and I say comedy because I didn't find much of it that funny. It felt very forced to me, the comedy, mostly coming from him. And it was mostly there for the sake of it. It felt like it was just there for the sake of it. And they were trying too hard with the comedy. There were things there that were just completely unnecessary, the way I saw it. They were just throwing in these lines that were supposed to be humorous and things that were supposed to be humorous, and I just was sat there with a frown on my face, just thinking, was I supposed to find that? I didn't find that funny. There were a couple of moments, that where I laughed out loud, but literally a couple. It was literally two. It was twice. I laughed out loud twice. Both involved David Harbour. The first one involved I won't give the entire thing away, but the first time I laughed out loud involved sleeping darts. That was the first time I laughed out loud. Pretty good gag, I thought. And the second, he's in a prison cell, and he's with a glass panel door, and he's leaning against the door, and the door suddenly opens, and he drags his face along the thing. That made me laugh as well. But like I said, that was literally the only two times that I laughed out loud. Everything else just seemed to be there for the sake of it, forced. The effects were pretty good for the most part. Couple of dodgy blue screeny kind of shots going on that didn't really pass muster, but most of it was pretty good, especially the end, the last 15-20 minutes when there's a plunging through the air scene with debris flying everywhere, with parachutes and skydiving and stuff. That all looked pretty good, in my opinion. That held up. It didn't look dodgy or cheap or anything, I don't think. Story. Oh, the villain. The villain was pretty good. I thought the villain, forgotten the actor's name, but the guy who played the main villain, I thought quite menacing. It kind of reminded me a bit of Brian Cox in X-Men 2. His character. It kind of reminded me of a similar character, ruthless kind of guy who just wants the control and the power of these girls, these widows, these black widows, but under the skin, not much of a brave guy. You feel the hatred that Natasha has towards him. And you want her to beat the crap out of him. So that was pretty good. The story was okay, a bit complicated in parts to follow, but generally okay. You just have to you have to pay a little bit of attention. but there were bits that didn't quite add up. Like, for example, there's one of the bad guys, or not exactly a henchman, but one of the bad guys is Taskmaster, but not the one that we are familiar with. I won't. I'm not. As I say, I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a reveal at the end, towards the last third, who this new Taskmaster is. And when the helmet is removed, the bad guy, takes a look at the Taskmaster and says, "Say hello." And then, the helmet comes off, and I'm sat there thinking, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And then I think to myself, who the hell's this? Who the hell's this? Now, I got it eventually, but when it's first revealed, when this person's first revealed, I didn't know who it was. I didn't get it. I didn't get who it was supposed to be, because I don't know whether that was because of me. Maybe I missed something, but it just didn't seem like it was explained clearly enough. Again, that might be me. That might be me getting it wrong. Maybe I missed something. I'll volunteer that. But to me, it didn't seem like it had been explained properly. I checked on Wikipedia, and this got quite good reviews. It seems it's doing quite well, I think. But on social media, it seems that most of the opinions are leaning towards the negative for the most part. So when I set out to watch this earlier, a few hours ago, I didn't know what to expect, and I'm in a position where I kind of think, yeah, I kind of understand why a lot of people aren't liking it, because I just felt like it was, as I said earlier, I just felt like it was a bit out of place and didn't quite feel right. It didn't quite feel part of the MCU. Maybe we came to this, the story of Natasha Romanoff, maybe we just came to it late. Maybe this should have been earlier in the MCU. I kind of feel that way about it. Kind of in the same vein as Captain Marvel, which again had quite a lot of negative reviews when that came out. The film itself, I didn't find terrible, like this one, like Black Widow. But again, it felt a little bit out of place. It was the film immediately after Infinity War. Wait a minute. It might have been Ant-Man and the Wasp first. But anyway, it was before Endgame. And I personally felt like Captain Marvel should have been maybe a little bit before, earlier in the MCU. And I feel the same way about Black Widow. I think it was a good enough film. I just felt like it was late. Some bits I liked, some bits I didn't. I didn't like the humour. The section in the middle, the first third and the last third are pretty good. They're pretty solid, good fighting sequences, good dialogue, good acting, good solid stuff. But the bit in the middle where they break out David Harbour's character, and then there's this... It turns into a kind of sitcom-y kind of thing, where they go to the family home or something, and they meet up with them. They meet up again with the parents that raised them, David Harbour and Rachel Weisz's character, and they have this dinner around a table, and he puts on the suit, and it's too small for him. He's put on weight, and it becomes this kind of cheesy sitcom, which I didn't really like. I was sat there the whole time thinking, is this supposed to be funny? Because I'm not laughing. I think it was just another excuse to get Scarlett Johansson back in the leather outfit. That's what I think. Which I have no complaint about. It's that's basically what you get. You just get Scarlett Johansson back in the leather outfit, in a couple of leather outfits actually, because there's a few outfits she wears. So yeah, I kind of liked it. 50-50 for me, really. Not perfect, not flawless, but a good solid first third, a good solid last third, and a sitcom in the middle. And not even a good sitcom, really. A bit cheesy. But I think it was a good excuse, a good reason to get Scarlett Johansson back in the leather outfit, or leather outfits in this case, to do some fighting, which was really good in this film. Just a little bit of a complicated story, kind of sprinkled over the top. But it was good to see more backstory for Black Widow, for Natasha. It was good to finally see, because she's referenced, you know, the Red Room and the fact that she can't have kids because she's been... she's had, you know, parts of her body removed and whatever it is. And there's talk about that in the film. They talk, again, in dialogue that's supposed to be humorous, which wasn't really. But, you know, it was good to find out more about the past of the Black Widows and the program that they were all a part of. We do see the Red Room. We do see the guy who was in charge. And, you know, we do find out a lot more about it, which is all relevant. So it was good to finally... It was kind of like, now that Black Widow has been killed off, because in Endgame she died, you know, I think it was a good idea to sort of close the book on her story, because there were still quite a few, you know, balls left in the air about who she was, where she came from, you know, who her family was, what happened to her in the past, you know. So I think after she died in Endgame, I think it was a good idea to have a film like this as a sort of full stop to her story, to her personal storyline. So yeah, I'm glad, put it that way. Whilst I don't think this was a absolutely brilliant film, I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad they did it for the purposes of closing the book on the Black Widow story. Yeah, 50-50, not a absolutely fantastic you know, film. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but not terrible. It had its moments, beginning and the end good, middle bit not so much. But I'm glad that it was done for the purposes of wrapping up the story of Natasha Romanoff. And I think it was a good enough beginning to Phase 4, if that's what this was supposed to be. I'm going to wrap things up, guys, because it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm tired and hot, and these two lights are on me, so and my throat's going too. So yeah, I like this film. Great film. Black Widow. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Let me know if you have seen it, what you thought in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and check out all my other pages. Links in descriptions and so on. Until next video, guys, take care. Bye.